I don't know what would have happened to you if we hadn't said yes. Maybe there would have been somebody else. Maybe God had somebody else lined up to take our place, but he didn't have to use them because we said yes. And how blessed we have been because of it. It's all a thing of when a whole bunch of people say yes to God, great things can happen. And it's not due to any one of them, not all due to Hank and Carl, not all due to you, way not all due to us, but there's just so many people that put in. I love the scripture about I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. But somebody had to do the planting, somebody needed to water. It's a wonderful cycle of life, what can happen when people surrender to God and don't barge through life seeking their own agenda.
Well, all right. Welcome to another edition of Shabbat Lounge. This
I
is
don't know
Matt.
what would have happened
And
to
Jake
you
here.
if we
Sorry that continued to play, but we're glad you're here and just wanted to remind you about becoming Jacob. But Jake and I are in the studio together again, and we're talking about Revelation.
That's right. And I'm a different Jacob from the book. So
Yes.
don't get that confused. So we're in Revelation chapter 16 this time. And this is, where can they find this, Matt?
Well, if you go to sabbathlounge.com, you will find lots of information there, different things we do. A couple of things that I've been adding in the Torah portions. I have been adding. So let me just show you. So you can go to Torah portions, and then right now, most of us are in Genesis. Kind of depends on where you are, but
Are they seeing this tab, or do we need to share this tab?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh. You know what?
Yeah, so
Maybe
click this next tab, and I think you can just hit...
sharing this tab.
Yeah, click this tab.
Oh, sorry.
And
I
hit
thought
share this tab.
I thought that
There
I
we go.
had shown that. So
There
sorry.
we go.
So week 3, and then I started adding audio portion, and so there is who did this? Almond House Fellowship, or the Almond House, and they have a dramatic
Genesis,
reading
chapter
of the Torah
12,
portion.
1
Nice.
to 17:27. Torah portion 3, Lech Lecha, go forth.
Or 5th.
So, yeah. So added that in there. Thought that might be useful to your group if you want to just listen to it. And also have embedded the slides that we do, that we've done in there. So we've got that available. And then also, if you go to Revelation, so there's a teaching series tab and a Revelation drop-down menu, and you can go see the different chapters of Revelation. And we are on chapter 16, talking about wrath and the bowls of judgment. So, and what we've done is we've taken different cross-reference scriptures that kind of tie into it. And we just hope that you read it for yourself and you cross-reference it. And if you have not read Revelation, well, just quit listening to us, and why don't you go read Revelation? That'd be better.
Maybe do that first. And then this is more of a, just kind of a study tool to help you kind of make some connections in different places in the Bible.
Yeah. And as always, if you have comments, if you have questions, we appreciate that. We appreciate sometimes on Shabbat, I have extra time, and I'll do a little live thing kind of last second. And I appreciate people that come in the live and comment and interact. And we do that as well. So, but if you find the content to be useful and beneficial, please tell someone about it and like, share, subscribe, do all the things. And we appreciate it.
That's right. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to read through Revelation 16, and then we'll go back and we'll tie in the different references.
Yep, so Revelation 16, and we're going to hear about a lot of pouring out the bowls.
Pouring out the bowls.
Time to pour out them bowls. So,
All right. I'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
I heard a loud voice from the temple saying to the 7 angels, pour the 7 bowls of Yahweh's anger, over the earth. The first angel poured his bowl over the earth. Horrible, painful sores appeared on the people who had the brand of the beast and worshipped its statue. The second angel poured his bowl over the sea. The sea turned into blood like the blood of a dead man, and every living thing in the sea died. The third angel poured his bowl over the rivers and the springs. They turned into blood. Then I heard the angel of the water say, you are fair, you are the one who is and the one who was, the Holy One, because you have judged these things. You have given them blood to drink because they have poured out the blood of Elohim's people and prophets. This is what they deserve. Then I heard the altar answer, yes, Master Elohim Almighty, your judgments are true and fair.
The fourth angel poured his bowl on the sun. The sun was allowed to burn people with fire. They were severely burned. They cursed the name of Yah, who had the authority over these plagues. They would not change the way they think and act and give him glory. The fifth angel poured his bowl on the throne of the beast. Its kingdom turned dark. People gnawed on their tongues in anguish and cursed the Elohim of heaven for their pains and their sores. However, they would not stop what they were doing. The sixth angel poured his bowl on the great Euphrates River. The water in the river dried up to make a road for the kings from the east. Then I saw 3 evil spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the serpent, the beast, and the false prophet. They are spirits of demons that do miracles. These spirits go to the kings of the whole world and gather them for the war on the frightening day of Yah Almighty.
See, I am coming like a thief. Blessed is the one who remains alert and doesn't lose his clothes. He will not have to go naked and let others see his shame. The spirits gathered the kings at the place which is called Armageddon in Hebrew. The 7th angel poured his bowl into the air. A loud voice came from the throne in the temple and said, it has happened. There was lightning, noise, thunder, and a powerful earthquake. There has never been such a powerful earthquake since humans have been on the earth. The important city split into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. Elohim remembered to give Babylon the Great the cup of wine from his fierce anger. Every island vanished, and the mountains could no longer be seen. Large, heavy hailstones fell from the sky on people. The people cursed Elohim because the plague of hail was such a terrible plague.
All right. So, Jake, has this happened?
I don't remember it happening.
I think we might remember that happening. So it's interesting with this. Don't you think the great city is Jerusalem being split into 3 parts? Or is this something else?
Well, when it talks about the important city, I mean, it doesn't list a whole lot of the important cities other than Jerusalem.
I know. So I definitely don't think it's, a city in North America.
It might be Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Washington, D.C.
The 3 rivers come together
3
there.
rivers, yeah. Yep. Put in the comments if you know the 3 rivers. I think I can name one off the top of my head. But so that's interesting. And so, how do you know these things are coming? Well, this big earthquake is going to give it away because we've never had an earthquake like that on Earth.
Right.
And we've had some pretty crazy ones. The earthquake that happened in the late 1800s that hit Alaska and that sent a tsunami to Japan. That one was a crazy one and really big. And this is going to make that one look like nothing.
Yeah, just make sure you don't lose your clothes.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing.
That's right. That's going to be good. And then all the islands vanish.
I
Can't
do see
the
islands
mountains.
out there. So
Yeah, and I still see mountains. So this is going to be crazy. And I think this is the moment where it's like undeniable who did it.
Yeah.
Because man can't take credit for any of this. It's It's going to be so obvious that that Yah did this. This is his part of his thing.
Yeah, I think interesting too is when it keeps saying that these plagues hit and the people curse Elohim because of the plague. They don't repent. They curse Elohim because of it. And it's, I don't know, you kind of see that attitude around now where, oh, why'd this bad thing happen to me? I wouldn't want to believe in a God that does X, Y, Z, right?
Yeah.
So you see that attitude now, and it wouldn't be hard to see people. That's one thing about it too, is they acknowledge his existence, and they refuse to bow the knee to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really understand that mindset.
Especially in 10 here, these people, they're gnawing their tongues. I mean, you must be in some pain, anguish for that to feel better than the pain.
Yeah.
And then you've got these terrible sores, and still you're like, I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. And it does parallel the plagues in Exodus. So there's definitely a parallel with some similar language, some, the whole the blood and the water and
the frogs.
Yeah, definitely similarities. And it's a very similar idea, because he is letting the world know that this is his deal, just like he was letting Pharaoh know, hey, look, this is my thing, and you're in my way. All right.
Yeah, that was, something interesting about that too. When you tie this to Exodus is, Yah did not return to remove them from Egypt until they cried out to him. They said, save us. And then after they said, save us, they got plagues.
Yeah.
That affected them. Some of them did. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important to keep in mind, especially with the way things go in this country, in this world that we're dealing with right now, is, things like, we cry out to Yah, and then some bad things start happening, and we're like, he didn't hear me. It's like, maybe he heard exactly what you were saying, and this is his path to correcting things. Mm-hmm. So just something to keep in mind, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll take a look at other scriptures that tie in to this idea of wrath. And like I said, if there are scriptures we left out, please let us know. But this did come from cross-referencing with a interlinear Bible, plus different resources online, and different, maybe one other commentary that I used. So, but definitely, if you see something we missed, let us know. All right, so Revelation 16:1, I heard a loud voice from the temple saying to the seven angels, pour the seven bowls of Yah's anger over the earth. Takes 7 bowls to handle his anger.
Probably not small bowls.
No, as a kid, I had this image of little bowls. But these are giant, like as big as the moon or sun, probably. I mean,
well, the one has enough to pour stuff over the sun.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. So this one goes with. I put this one in the wrong place, Jake. So I'm gonna skip that one.
Okay.
Remind me. We'll come back to it when it's supposed to be on the line with the false prophet one.
All right.
Psalm 79:6, pour your fury on the nations that do not know you, on the kingdoms that have not called you. Jeremiah 10:25, pour out your fury on the nations who don't know you and on the people who don't worship you. They have devoured the descendants of Jacob. They have devoured them completely. They have destroyed their homes. Ezekiel 22:31, so I will pour out my anger on you with my fiery anger, I will consume you. This is because of all the things you've done, declares Adonai Yahweh. Zephaniah 3:8 says, Yahweh declares, just wait. One day I will stand up as a witness. I've decided to gather nations, to bring kingdoms together, and to pour out my rage, my burning anger on them. The whole land will be consumed by my fiery fury. It's bad.
Yep. So, do you presume Jeremiah to be quoting Psalms? Or is it just a repeating of the same kind of deal? You know what I mean? Because he gives the same prognosis many times.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine he's probably quoting.
Probably quoting, but definitely, anytime that repeating happens, it's definitely for emphasis.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention. Just like we use it today.
Yeah.
When you, as a parent, to repeat yourself several times, I mean, you're trying to make a point, but you're about to lose it.
Yeah. I think there's a Bill Cosby joke about that. This is a family show, though. All right. Revelation 16:2. The first angel poured his bowl over the earth. Horrible, painful sores appeared on the people who had the brand of the beast and worshipped its statue. So this we're tying to Exodus 9 through 11. They will become a fine dust throughout Egypt. The dust will cause boils to break into open sores on people and animals throughout Egypt. They took ashes from a kiln and stood in front of Pharaoh. Moses threw the ashes up in the air, and they caused boils to break into open sores on people and animals. The magicians couldn't compete with Moses because they had boils like all the other Egyptians. All right, Deuteronomy 28:35. Yahweh will afflict your knees and legs with severe boils that can't be cured. The boils will cover your whole body from the soles of your feet to the top of your head. That sounds terrible.
Terrible.
Zechariah 14:12. This will be the plague Yahweh will use to strike all the people from the nations that have gone to war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they are standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. Ezekiel 10:2. Yahweh said to the person dressed in linen, go between the wheels under the angels and fill your hands with burning coals, then scatter them over the city. So he went between the wheels as I watched. Revelation 13:16-17. The second beast forces all people, important and unimportant people, rich and poor people, free people and slaves, to be branded on their right hands or on their foreheads. It does this so that no one may buy or sell unless he has the brand, which is the beast's name or the number of its name.
So definitely a tie-in to the brand that you see there in 16.
Yeah. So kind of similar to how he uses the plagues in Egypt to smite and mock the gods that they're worshiping. Mm-hmm. Interesting here that in the Revelation verse, how it has this is end time stuff, and it talks about free people and slaves. So there will be slavery all the way till the end times. It will not be gotten rid of. I think that's interesting.
Well, unfortunately, I think you can make an argument the way we live today is
a form of slavery.
Somewhat a form of bond servant slavery with debt.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you stop paying on your debt? You lose everything. But I mean, it's not the same, but it's still an entrapment of the human mind.
Yeah. And I think too, when they see that word slave, we always put our minds to,
Civil War,
early American slavery, which is not, there's all different kinds of slavery. It's not all the same. So
yeah, that was terrible. But people were indentured servants, which is kind of more like what we are today. When we go work for someone, we're kind of like their indentured servant. They take care of us, but we do the work for them because we choose to.
Mm-hmm.
And the indentured servant eventually had a choice to stay if they followed Torah.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, it's all good stuff. I mean, not the boils and the sores. I'd like to pass on that.
Yeah, the Zechariah scripture is, I mean, some of the stuff, what do you add to that? It's just,
It's like a horror movie.
yeah.
In fact, it does seem like something I've seen in some crazy movie, you know, where that happened, or, you know, or a nuclear blast and their face melts off.
Right.
It's kind of like that.
Little Terminator 2 action.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Revelation 16:3, the second angel poured his bowl over the sea. The sea turned blood red, like that of a dead man, and every living thing in the sea died. Gross. Isaiah 57:20, but the wicked are like the churning sea and isn't quiet, and its water throws up mud and slime. Exodus 17:17-21. Here's what Yahweh says. This is the way you'll recognize that I'm Yahweh. With my staff in my hand, I'm going to strike the Nile. The water will turn into blood. The fish in the Nile will die. The river will stink. The Egyptians will not be able to drink any water from the Nile. Yahweh said to Moses, tell Aaron, take your staff, stretch out your hand over the waters in Egypt, its rivers, its canals, its ponds, all its reservoirs, so that they will turn into blood. There will be blood everywhere in Egypt, even in the wooden and stone containers. Moses and Aaron did as Yahweh commanded. In front of Pharaoh, his officials, Aaron raised his staff and struck the Nile. All the water in the river turned into blood. The fish in the Nile died, and it smelled so bad that the Egyptians couldn't drink any water from the river. There was blood everywhere in Egypt. So,
I don't see how that ties into the Revelation scripture.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, very, very parallel to the Exodus account for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and on a larger scale.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the ocean, and I think it's all the oceans is how I've always read that. Maybe you could tell me something different. Maybe it's one specific sea, but I think it's a generic term meaning all the oceans.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's kind of how I take it too, unless there's some specificity somewhere else, but I don't see it.
Yeah, and you think about how nasty that would be, how bad it would smell. Every living creature in the ocean dying. I mean, that's gross.
Yeah.
Really gross.
All right, Revelation 16:4. The third angel poured his bowl over the rivers and the springs. They turned into blood. So more blood, but this time rivers and springs. This is Texas, though. You guys don't have springs, right?
Big Springs, old Big Spring, and when I was a kid, I'd go to Big Spring, and
that's more like from a mattress, though.
Well, you know, that's what I thought, and so I'm like, I don't see no springs here, and I was picturing like a cartoon spring in the ground, like from Wile E. Coyote that said Acme or something, and I went to Big Spring, and I was like, this is disappointing.
Yeah.
It's nothing like what I thought it was going to be.
Man, that would be disappointing.
Yep.
Really built it up and then...
nothing.
Nothing. All right, so it ties again with the Exodus chapter 7, 17-21 that Matt just read. And then Psalm 78:44. He turned their rivers into blood so that they could not drink from their streams.
And then I didn't finish this Thessalonian scripture, but that's really a mistake because the word spring is used. That's probably why I didn't do it, but I forgot to take it out. But it is not a water spring that they're referring to.
So that's the giant cartoon spring.
Maybe right there.
So go to 1 Thessalonians 2:3 and read about the giant cartoon spring that Matt was looking for.
Yes, I never found.
On his vacation.
Yeah. But supposedly in Big Spring, there really was the spring, and I think there might have been petroglyphs there, but it's like not many places in the world would look at this and go, ooh, that's a freshwater spring. It'd be like, That's a little bit of water seeping out underneath a rock, like a seep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, go lick the wall to get
Yes.
some water.
Yes, but in that part of the world, that's a precious commodity.
Yeah.
And everybody did, ancient man to the Indians, everybody, that's where they came to get water.
I guess if you're in the desert.
Yep. All right, so Revelation 16:5, then I heard the angel of the water say, "You are fair. You are the one who is and who was the Holy One, because you have judged these things." Back to Exodus 7:20 through 21. Moses and Aaron did as Yahweh had commanded in front of Pharaoh and the officials. I think we just read this, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, so we just read that. And then John 17:25, righteous Father, the world didn't know you, yet I knew you, and the disciples have known that you have sent me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I heard the angel of the water say, it kind of, when you're raised learning about, different cultures and their gods of different things, it kind of seems like it pulls from this idea here that there were angels associated with different goings on, different activities that the earth and its environment, like
Dominion over certain areas.
Yeah, so like you have the angel of the water, right? Instead of the god of, like, what's his name there? Super Friends.
Neptune.
Yeah, it would be Neptune or, what's the guy I'm thinking of? Mermaid Man or Barnacle Boy or whatever.
Mermaid Man.
That's not what I meant. I meant the Marvel guy, but you know what I'm talking about.
Aquaman.
That's the guy. So anyway, which is just a play off of Neptune. So yeah. So I think all that is kind of a rip off of these things.
Yeah. For sure. Yep.
All right. Revelation 16:6. You have given them blood to drink because they have poured out the blood of Elohim's people and prophets. This is what they deserve. Well, that's mean, Matt.
Yes, mean, but they deserve it.
Yeah. That sounds like Romans 1 judgment to me. Even their reaction, which we discussed earlier about,
They refuse to change the way they think and act.
Yeah, the fist shaking.
Is that used in Romans too, where it says they refuse to change the way they think and act? Oops, I'm popping that microphone.
Yeah, so I'll read these. You go ahead and find that. Okay, so Exodus 7:21 again. So we read that. Ezekiel 16:38. I will punish you the same way that those who are guilty of prostitution and murder are punished. I will give you the death penalty in my fury and burning anger. So that's back to the give you what you deserve kind of situation. Isaiah 49:26. I will make your oppressors eat their own flesh, and they will become drunk on their own blood as though it were new wine. Then all humanity will know that I am Yahweh who saves you, the mighty one of Jacob who reclaims you. This is one of those things where it's like, we think it's bad now because some political things don't go our way or people act a fool. I mean, this is quite different. This is worse, I think.
Oh, yeah. Exponentially, it doesn't even compare.
And then Luke 11:49-51. That's why the wisdom of Elohim said, I will send them prophets and apostles. They will murder some of those prophets and apostles and persecute others. So the people living now will be charged with the murder of every prophet since the world was made. This includes the murders from Abel to Zechariah, who was killed between the altar and the temple. Yes, I can guarantee this truth. The people living today will be held responsible for this. Yeah, so that's curious too about, we think that, I'm not a sinner. I've cleaned up my act. And if you've
I'm a
listened
good
to,
boy.
yeah, if you listen to any of, Matt, do you listen to Wretched Radio? Do you know?
Wretched. I
Yeah.
have listened.
With Todd Friel. He always does Witness Wednesday, and he goes to a college campus and talks to people about the gospel and all that stuff. Very, very interesting, the things he hears from kids on campuses, and so that whole idea of, well, I'm better than most people, right? I'm good enough, that kind of idea comes through a lot. So that idea, I mean, because some of these ideas that we think, wow, people don't really believe that. No, people do believe some silly stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah, and if you tie this to the Torah principle of, the sins of the father carrying on for thousands of generations and that kind of thing. And so I think that's kind of tied in here, where none have a specific claim of guiltlessness on basically any sins, just because of in the spiritual sense, because of what we're tied to, tied to Adam and that kind of thing. I don't think we've hit 1,000 generations yet, right? So just because you didn't specifically commit physical sin of sorts doesn't mean it's not tied to you in some way, in a spiritual sense. So, yeah, I think that idea is what's coming across here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. When we were talking about changing the way you think and act, in Romans 12:2, it says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let Yah transform you into a new person, changing the way you think. And then you'll learn how, what his will is for you, his good and perfect will. So definitely the kind of the opposite of what we're seeing here. They were given the opportunity and they're like, I'm not changing.
Right.
And like you said, it does seem like that's easy to see how people are going to do that, because people kind of already do it now.
Yeah.
So, and they misplace their hope and, like their political leaders and things like that. And that's not going to save us.
Right. And then Revelation 11:6, these witnesses have authority to shut the sky in order to keep rain from falling during the time they speak what Elohim has revealed. They have authority to turn water into blood and to strike the earth with any plague as often as they want. That kind of covers a whole litany of things.
Yeah.
Any plague as often as they want.
Yeah, that's quite a power.
Yeah.
And then a couple of these we didn't really have counterparts to. And then we'll skip on down to Revelation 16:10. And it says, the fifth angel poured his bowl on the throne of the beast. The kingdom turned dark. People gnawed on their tongues in anguish. I think I heard that before. Exodus 10:21 through 22. Then Yahweh said to Moses, lift your hand towards the sky. And the darkness was so thick it can be felt, will overcome, so thick it can be felt, will come over Egypt. Moses lifted his hand towards the sky, and throughout Egypt there was total darkness for 3 days. Joel 2:2 says, it is a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and overcast skies. A large and mighty army will spread over the mountains like the dawn. Nothing like this has ever happened. Nothing like this will ever happen again. Isaiah 8:22, they will look at the earth and see only distress and gloom. They will go into anguish and be forced into darkness. Zechariah 14:7, there'll be 1 day, a day to know Yahweh, with no difference between day and night. It will be light even in the evening.
So they are going to head up to Alaska and hang out up there for a while.
In the land of the midnight sun.
That's right. Scroll up a little and let me look at those ones that we went by here. Because I think I see a tie-in here that maybe we could discuss. So it says, this is 16:7 through 9. I heard altar answer, yes, Yahweh Almighty, your judgments are true and fair. The fourth angel poured his bowl on the sun. The sun was allowed to burn people with fire. They were severely burned. They cursed the name of Elohim, who is the authority over these plagues. They would not change the way they think and act and give him glory. So this makes me think about Nebuchadnezzar and Rakshak and Benny.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of the opposite situation. Oh, you want to throw my guys into the furnace? Look, nothing's happening to them. I'm going to throw you into the furnace and watch you cry about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
He's turning that around.
And Haman and Mordecai and that Esther story where they built the gallows. The gallows were used for them.
Yeah.
Except it's not exactly the same.
Well, it's the that same principle though.
Yeah, same idea, kind of. Yeah, that's a good analogy, and also what we just talked about with Romans 12:2 about changing the way you think and act, and these are people who absolutely refuse.
Yeah,
and of all the things, I'm thinking, man, being severely burned, man, if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what motivates you, because that sounds terrible.
Yeah, I've always thought that would be the worst way to go. Would be burning or drowning. Was always like the scariest thing.
Because you get your skin burned, and then how do you get comfortable? You don't.
You don't. Yeah.
You can't. Clothes aren't comfortable. Laying down isn't comfortable. Walking isn't comfortable, and the air on it isn't comfortable.
And that's just like a minor burn.
Yeah.
I feel like this is talking more extreme.
Yeah. Yeah, like crispy.
Yeah.
All right, but then we... Let's see, we read that.
Yep.
And then, same thing. It keeps... You see this theme that they just will not stop what they're doing. They're hell-bent for destruction. Isn't there a scripture that talks about being hell-bent on destruction? Seems like there is, but definitely it's kind of like what these people are like. They just...
I think you're thinking of a rock band.
Maybe.
Lyrics.
Maybe. A certain highway.
Maybe.
No, I think there's a scripture about being... I keep hitting this mic. About being... I guess that's what happens when I set the mic on the edge of the table.
Yeah, here's one of those verses I was thinking about with how they keep coming back to that idea of they knew better. They were given the truth and knew better, and then they just cursed God instead of repenting. Romans 1:21, because that when they knew Elohim, they glorified him not as Elohim. Neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Yeah, just read that whole section. Romans 1:20 and on. Actually, just read all of Romans 1. You'll get the idea. All right, are we on 16:12 here?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. Is it me? I think
Yep.
it's me. Okay. The sixth angel poured his bowl on the great Euphrates River. The water in the river dried up to make a road for the kings from the east. Yahweh will dry up the gulf of the Egyptian sea. He will wave his hand over the Euphrates River with his scorching wind and divide it into 7 streams so that people can walk over it in their sandals. There will be a highway for the remaining few of his people left in Assyria, like there was for Israel when it came out of Egypt. So this ties into second Exodus type talk.
Yes.
This is what's going on here.
Yeah.
Isaiah 41:2, who was raised up from the east, someone to whom Yahweh gives victory with every step he takes. Nations are handed over to him. He defeats kings. With his sword, he turns them into dust. With his bow, he turns them into straw blown by the wind.
Dust in the wind, you might say.
I might say that. You might say that.
Mm-hmm. Might sing it.
Maybe.
Aren't we just dust in the wind, Jake?
That's all we are. Is dust in the wind. All right, we better move on before we get copyright infringement.
Yes, right.
All right, Isaiah 41:25. I have raised up someone from the north, and he has come. He will call on my name from the east. He will attack rulers as if they were mud, as if he were treading on clay like a potter.
And not as in Harry.
I wonder if this is where they get the idea for Clayface or Sandman. Like Sandman would be I think
Talking about the
Sandman would
superhero
be
guy?
a Marvel character.
Yes.
A bad guy from Marvel. And then Clayface would be, I think there's two things that could be. That could be a DC bad guy.
I don't know.
Is it Clayface or Clayman or something?
Clayface.
Anyway, or it's a bad guy from Dick Tracy. Right? Does that sound familiar?
Nope.
Okay. Put in the comments if you know if Clayface was a Dick Tracy character. Oh, I know Pruneface was.
Clayface is a DC comic supervillain.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Pruneface was the Dick Tracy thing I was thinking of. All right, put it in the comments if you knew that answer before. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, Isaiah 44:27. He says to the deep water, dry up, so I will dry up your rivers. Isaiah 46:11. I will call a bird of prey from the east. I will call someone for my plan from a faraway land. I have spoken and I will bring it about. I have planned it and I will do it. That's the Torah concept of when you make a vow, follow through with it. Jeremiah 50:38. A drought will diminish their water supply and it will dry up. Babylon is a land of idols, statues that will go crazy with fear. Have you ever seen a statue go crazy with fear?
Not too much. No.
Jeremiah 51:36. This is what Yahweh says. I am going to take up your cause and get revenge for you. I will dry up Babylon's sea and make its springs dry up. Zephaniah 3:8. Yahweh declares, just wait. One day I will stand up as a witness. I have decided to gather nations, to bring kingdoms together, and to pour my rage, my burning anger on them. The whole land will be consumed by my fiery fury. Then Revelation 9:14, the voice said to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the four angels who are held at the great Euphrates River. Release the four angels who are held at the great... Oh, I see there's a copy-paste situation
Yeah, maybe copy-paste a little bit, yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Okay, so...
definitely a theme with water and springs being dried up.
Yeah, I have a question here. Go down to the... right here. So he pours out on the water to dry up the river to make a road for the kings from the east. Are these good kings or bad kings?
I don't know. The kings from the east.
I think later in this chapter, which we read, I think it talks about these being the kings that are gathering together to... I feel like they're bad kings.
Yeah, in the context of this, I think it makes sense that they would be bad.
And yet he's giving them a way to like convene with each other.
To have a meetup.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, let us know what you think about that. So you're referring to 12.
Yeah. I think we would have to find a tie-in where it talks about the kings gathering, and that sounds like it's always the nations that are gathering.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. That's who it would be. The kings from the east. All right, and then anything else?
No, I guess not.
Okay. Revelation 16:13. Then I saw 3 evil spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the serpent, the beast, and the false prophet. So Aaron in Exodus 8:6. So Aaron held his staff over the waters of Egypt. The frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. Psalm 78:49. He sent his burning anger, rage, fury, and hostility against them. He sent an army of destroying angels. Revelation 28, he will go out and deceive Gog and Magog, the nations at the 4 corners of the earth, and gather them for war. They will be as numerous as the grains of the sand on the seashore. And then I think this is where I meant to put Deuteronomy 13:5 and 13:1-5. If a prophet or someone who has dreams arises amongst you and proclaims as a sign or wonder to you, and that sign or wonder he's promised to you comes about, and he says, let us follow other gods which you don't know, and let us worship them, do not listen to that prophet's words or that dreamer. For the Lord God is testing you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul. You must follow the Lord your God and fear him. You must keep his commandments and listen to his voice. You must worship him and remain faithful to him. That prophet or dreamer must be put to death because he has urged rebellion in the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the place of slavery. To turn you away from the Lord your God has commanded you to walk. You must purge the evil from you. So, talking about a false prophet.
Yeah, that's such a powerful verse. And when we first came into Torah, this was a go-to for us. And because if someone comes and tells you to walk contrary to the commandments that Yah has given these guys, I mean, what are the commands he's given in Deuteronomy? It's the Torah.
Yeah, it's very
then they're a false
sobering,
prophet.
kind of scary.
Yeah. And so that's why it always, it would strike me to think, well, Yeshua, I would say Jesus isn't a false prophet, so he can't violate this scripture.
Right.
And so that's I think we did a video a while back talking about the difference between I think it was the one where we talked about the name being Yeshua and meaning salvation, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about how there is this idea, this character that we've given the Jesus of the Bible, quote unquote, that have made him a false teacher. And that's kind of how early on I separated it in my mind. Yeshua being the actual savior and Jesus being the false Messiah, basically.
Yeah.
And so,
And that's a deep, complicated rabbit hole to me because I feel like I was saved under Jesus, but and I think many of you listening to this were saved under that, and many of our friends and family and people we love and may respect tremendously still go by that and do that, and I think there's still power in it, but there is this aspect of it that's man of lawlessness.
It's like an underlying, like I wouldn't go out and tell people that, but to straighten it out in your own mind.
Don't go around and telling all your loved ones
that
about
Jesus
that.
is the Antichrist.
Yes, it's not going to go well for you, and you're not going to have many friends, and they're not going to listen to you ever.
And I know when you first come into this, you're going, well, I don't need friends. I need the truth.
That's right.
That's
four chords and the truth.
Yeah. And, that's true in a sense, but you just realize what you're doing.
Yeah.
If that helps you parse things in the way you see your own walk, then use that. And that's kind of how I use it. But I don't project that on other people. I don't think that's fair.
No, but you do see some truth in it.
I
sure.
should say anymore. I don't project that
Yeah,
on people
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, no. But it makes me kind of think about King David, Saul, and Solomon, and I stole this from Tom Bradford, but he called Saul the Antichrist king, which is interesting because he does represent in a lot of ways the Antichrist king and how he acts and the things he does. And then you have David, who's a man after Yahweh's own heart. And then you have Solomon. Now, this is just me spitballing, but it's almost like Solomon represents Babylon and the riches and that idea, almost even the harlot about, because he traded with all these people and shared his wares and it
Got all the horses from Egypt.
Yeah.
Which is contrary to Torah.
Yeah, he did a lot of things the wrong way. But it's kind of interesting to study those kings and see their relationship and the storyline. It's I think there's something to it.
Yeah.
And anyway, that is rabbit trailing a little bit.
It's all connected.
I don't know how I got there, but I did. So, but the false prophet. Definitely, how do you know the false prophet? Well, you got to go to Deuteronomy 13.
That's right. And I've also heard, I don't necessarily know this from experience or discussing this with people, but it makes sense to me that, that's one of the reasons that the Jews reject the Jesus of the Bible is because people have made him into someone who does not fulfill that Deuteronomy 13 prophet test.
Yes, and I think that in our faith walks before, we did not intend to do that, and people don't realize that that's what they're doing.
Right.
And I feel like there's some innocence in that, but there's probably been some people in history that knew exactly what they were doing, though, and teaching some of those false ideas. But yeah, that's the dangerous side of it, and it goes into I think that it is easy to teach people some of this though with the hippie Jesus, because people know that if they really think about it, truly Bible believing praying folks, they know that it can't be the peace love hippie Jesus, but that is what a lot of people have made him to be.
Right.
That just accepts absolutely everything. And there are some people in churches that operate that on, and then that's why they're like, oh, you want to be gay and be a pastor? Sure, man, come right on in. The water's just fine. Jesus is cool with it, man. He ate with the gays. Like, did he? So does it say this? How do you know this? But yeah, people, they, and that to me is the hippie peace love Jesus, which it's easy to see how that is not the right version of Jesus.
Right.
But I used to believe in that version, I believe. So I kind of realized it wasn't right and would be very offensive to him.
All right. Let's see. Revelation 16:14. Am I up?
Yeah.
They are spirits of demons that do miracles. These spirits go to the kings of the whole world and gather them for the war on the frightening day of Elohim Almighty. Yeah, so again, that sounds like the kings that are walking across the dry sand. He's like, here, I'll even pave the way for you. And go ahead.
Yeah, that's clearly bad kings, because this ties into that idea that I believe that when Messiah comes back, I think that's the purpose of the alien thing. The alien agenda is really Satan's effort to disguise, it kind of disguises him but it also will be used against Yeshua when he comes back, I believe. They're going to be like, look, that's the real alien.
Yeah.
And just like Ronald Reagan once said, wouldn't it be nice if we had this common enemy that the whole world could unite against? And he was talking about the whole world could fight against this alien deity, coming back, and that would unite the world. Well, when Messiah comes back, unfortunately, I think the world is going to be united and fight against him. And that's what this represents, or these kings are going to gather up and they're going to try to fight him, similar to, maybe even what was trying to happen at the Tower of Babel, that what people were trying to do. And it's going to come back to that, and it's not going to go well.
Kind of like the first time.
Yeah.
All right. 1 Kings 22:21-23. Then Ruach stepped forward, stood in front of Yahweh, and said, I will deceive him. How? Yahweh asked. Ruach answered, I will go out and be a spirit that tells lies through the mouths of of Ahab's prophets. Yahweh said, you will succeed in deceiving him. Go and do it. So Yahweh has put into the mouths of all these prophets of yours a spirit that makes them tell lies. Yahweh has spoken evil about you. Isn't that interesting? That's such an interesting passage. Yahweh put the lying words into the prophets' mouths.
It's almost like they didn't have a choice.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I think your free will only goes so far as Yahweh's sovereignty.
Yeah.
So Joel 3:2. I will gather all the nations. I will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. I will judge them there. They scattered the Israelites, the people who belong to me, among the nations. They divide my land. So we have a Bible trivia book, and my daughter's answer is always Jehoshaphat.
Jehoshaphat.
And sometimes she's right. All right. Zechariah 14:2. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem for battle. The city will be captured, the houses looted, and the women raped. Half of the people in the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people won't be taken from the city.
I always got in trouble when I called somebody Jehoshaphat.
I feel like you had an ulterior motive.
Maybe.
Let's see. 1 Timothy 4:1. The Spirit says clearly that in later times, some believers will desert the Christian faith. That can't happen, Matt. They will follow spirits
One
that
saved,
deceive.
always saved.
That's right. They will follow spirits that deceive, and they will believe the teachings of demons. I think I hear a lot of people believing the teachings of demons.
Yeah, and I think I've had somebody accuse me of, in this walk, of doing the teachings of demons. I'm like, you don't know what you're saying.
Isn't that crazy?
But it's definitely thrown around.
Yeah.
And used in different ways.
You're cursed if you keep that law, Matt.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Cursed if you keep it.
Yeah.
I think it says the opposite.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yeah. And who's the opposite of Yahweh?
Hasatan.
Okay, Revelation 17:14. That sounds very incriminating, Matt. Revelation 17:14. They will go to war against the Lamb. The Lamb will conquer them because he is the Master of Masters, the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings. Those who are called, chosen, and faithful are with him.
That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
All right. Revelation 16:15. See, I'm coming like a thief. Blessed is one who remains alert and doesn't lose his clothes. I find that to be usually when I'm alert, I don't lose my clothes.
Yeah.
Although sometimes I can't find them when I'm alert. I'm like, where did I put this? Anyway, he will not have to go naked and let others see his shame. Luke 12:36-40. Be like the servants waiting to open the door at their master's knock when he returns from a wedding. Blessed are those servants whom the master finds awake when he comes. I can guarantee you this truth. He will change his clothes. He'll make them sit at the table and serve them. They will be blessed if he comes in the middle of the night towards the morning and finds them awake. Of course, you realize that if the homeowner had known at the hour that the thief was coming, he wouldn't have let him break into his house.
And he wouldn't have been naked.
That's right. Be ready because the Son of Man will return when you least expect him.
Expect me when you least expect me.
Yes. 1 Thessalonians 5:2, you will know very well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. 2 Peter 3:10, the day of the Lord will come like a thief. On that day, the heaven will pass away with a roaring sound. Everything that makes up the universe will burn and be destroyed. The earth and everything that people have done on it will be exposed.
That's similar to what you see in Texas. In the middle of the night, in the fall or in the spring, you just hear a roaring sound when you're sleeping in your bed, and you're like, what is going on? And you're like, oh, it's the wind.
It's a tornado.
Well, not necessarily.
It sounds like a freight train.
It's just loud wind.
Oh, yeah.
You folks have loud wind down here.
We do. We do have loud wind, a lot of hot, loud wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes from the people.
Yep.
Matthew 22:11-13, when the king came to see the guest, he saw a person who was not dressed in wedding clothes provided for the guest. He said to him, friend, how did you get in here without the proper wedding clothes? The man had nothing to say. The king told his servants, tie his hands and feet and throw him outside into the darkness. People will cry and will be in extreme pain there.
That seems... I mean, does the punishment fit the crime there? If you crashed a wedding and they tied you up and threw you outside in the darkness...
With extreme pain?
Would you... Yeah. Would that be like... Hey guys, you could have just asked me to leave.
Yeah. Next time I'll wear a tie.
Man.
Matthew 24:43, you realize that if a homeowner had known what time, wait a minute.
Yeah, you got the...
It's in there twice?
No,
Or just a
different,
sister passage?
Sister passage.
Yeah. So it parallels the other one that we just read, Revelation 3:4. But you have few people in Sardis who have kept their clothes clean. They will walk with me in white clothes because they deserve it.
Ooh, another kind of deserving. Interesting. Matt, who deserves white clothes?
The saints.
Well, isn't the church answer nobody? Nobody deserves white clothes. And then they'll use that to Jesus juke you, right? How do you deserve something? It's usually based on what you do, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. By your works.
Right. Now, we're not saying your works save you. However, there is this idea of deserving something that he's talking about right here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Good point. Matthew 24:15-18, the prophet Daniel said, the disgusting thing which caused the destruction will stand in the holy place. When you see this, those of you in Judea should flee to the mountains. Those of you on the roof should not come down and get anything out of their house. Those who are in the field should not turn back and get their coats.
So, some people have said that this has happened. What say you?
It happened recently in North Carolina, as the floodwaters were rising. Different context, though.
Right. Yeah. So I would.
But this idea is found. But no, I don't believe that that this has happened yet. But I think it's in reference to, don't tarry. Don't be too attached to this world. Don't be like Lot's wife, because, you may have to walk away from all this stuff.
See, I'd be willing to entertain the argument that this has happened. I think this is possibly pointing to, there's a couple different things this could be pointing to, I think. It's specifically talking about Judea and people fleeing to the mountains. I believe in the time of the Zadok priesthood, a similar situation occurred, and they fled to the... to the mountains, and I'm not sure about this, but the way I've heard it is that is the priesthood that exists in Yeshua's time, is because the Zadok priests fled to the wilderness prior to that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The other time you could say would be the fall of the temple in 70 AD, because you had it. And again, it all depends on how you would interpret Daniel's prophecy. Whether you put that delay in it and apply it to the last three, or the tribulation time period, or whether that was sequential prophesying going on. So something else to look into.
Yeah.
Put your comments in the comment section about which direction you think that goes.
Yep. Luke 12:37, blessed are those servants whom the master finds awake when he comes. I can guarantee you this truth. He will change his clothes, make them sit down at the table, and serve them. Luke 12:39, of course, you realize if the homeowner had known the thief was coming, he wouldn't have let them break into his house. We just read that. So
He would have shot them.
So, and there's this, that's right, this concept of, a lot of people believe this is tied into if the high priest came in and found, just did a spot check in the middle of the night to the priest that was supposed to keep the fires going all night, that he would heap burning coals on his robe, catch him on fire because he was asleep at the wheel.
He was not remaining
prepared.
alert, right?
Yep, not alert. And his clothes would catch on fire and he'd run out naked because his clothes had burned off, or he had to strip naked to get the fire off of him. And that's the connection to the thief in the night. And it makes sense about being naked because you are not prepared. And it definitely has all the things we read here have definitely a tie-in to the virgins being prepared and having their lamps ready. And but once again, tons of wedding language. We're starting to see that again, and that's a good thing to study out if you have not studied out. And we recommend people like Michael Oman, and he has a good take on all of that.
Yeah, the Ancient Hebrew Wedding Model is his series on that. It's very good.
But he doesn't have his channel anymore. Somebody was asking about that, and what's it called? It's
River Branch.
River Branch.
Because he got tied in together with Curtis Reed.
Yeah, Donkey Speaks.
Donkey Speaks, right. River Shabbat was his, and Olive Branch was Michael's, and now they're River Branch.
Yeah, and it seems like he moved out of the UK, didn't he?
Yeah, he lives near Curtis now, I think.
Yeah, and I was thinking it was Australia or something.
He lives in Canada.
Oh, it does? That's where he is? Oh,
yep.
I don't know.
Don't let the hat fool you.
Okay. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Thought he was in the outback.
Just when he says again.
Kangaroo Jack.
When he says again, you kind of get the idea. But, yeah, I'm not sure if they had mentioned something about taking away all their old videos, but I'm not sure if they did that yet or not. So if you're catching this, you better go check and listen to them while you can.
Yep. Oh, and one more quick thing. This whole idea about being naked, too, goes back to, like, honor-shame culture, being shameful.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, back to the garden. We could have pulled up all kinds of Genesis things about them being created nakedly and then realizing they're naked and that kind of thing. Okay, Revelation 16:16. The spirits gathered the kings at the place which is called Armageddon in Hebrew.
Wasn't that a Bruce Willis movie?
In Hebrew?
No.
Yeah. Yes, it was. So yeah, the spirits appear to be the frog spirits, right?
Mm.
They go gather the kings. The kings travel on dry land to meet at the place called Armageddon. Or Armageddon, if you will. But I think Armageddon fought Godzilla. So
Well,
This might be talking of something else.
I think I picture Gandalf, the white or gray. I don't remember which one, and going into battle, because I think in that series he is basically painting the story. And going in, there's this giant battle scene where all the armies come together in one place, and they're about to throw down, and it seems like he rides in on a white horse. I think that's when he changes, like from the gray one to the white one or whatever.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's got a name written on him. I mean, it's like very similar to this story.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be. It's supposed to tie into this. The shame of it is, I mean, very good, very well done story, very well done movies. But then they got to throw all the magic into it.
Yeah.
And it's like you've just ruined it all
Mm-hmm.
and corrupted the pure with the impure.
But I do think that there's a pretty good visual of this moment that we're seeing here, where all these
Definitely.
people are gathering up, and
I think it's the Helm's Deep
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Is that what the kids are calling it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so at Armageddon, that's what's going on. Okay. 2 Kings 23:29. In Josiah's days, Pharaoh Necho, the king of Egypt, came to help the king of Assyria at the Euphrates River. King Josiah went to attack Necho. When Pharaoh saw him at Megiddo, Pharaoh killed him. King Josiah, he was a cool cat. All right, 2 Chronicles 25:22. Israel defeated the army of Judah, and the Judeans fled to their homes. Judges 5:19. Kings came and fought, and the kings of Canaan fought. They fought at Taanach by the waters of Megiddo, but they didn't carry off any rich loot. Zechariah 12:11. On that day, the mourning in Jerusalem will be as intense as the mourning at Hadad Ramon in the plain of Megiddo. Zechariah 14:2. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem for battle. The city will be captured, the houses looted, and the women raped. Half of the people in the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people won't be taken from the city. And Joel 3:2. I will gather all the nations. I will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. We read this one already. He'll judge them there, scatter the Israelites, people who belong to him, among the nations, divide the land.
Yeah, and I believe this Megiddo is Armageddon.
Yeah.
Just a different
I
version
believe
of it.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, earlier you mentioned Gog and Magog.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy, I think he's a pastor. He has a YouTube channel. I think it's called Blog and Mayblog or something like that.
Blog and Mayblog.
Pretty funny. All right. You get all the short ones.
I know. It's like I planned it in advance. Revelation 16:17. The seventh angel poured his bowl into the air. A loud voice came from the throne in the temple and said, "It has happened." Kind of like it is finished, but it has happened.
Yeah.
Ephesians 2:2. You followed the ways of this present world and its spiritual ruler. This ruler continues to work in the people who refuse to obey Yah. Revelation 15:8. The temple was filled with smoke from the glory of Yah and his power. No one could enter the temple until the 7 plagues of the 7 angels came to an end. Definitely some tie-in.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do this one. That was short. Revelation 16:20, every island vanished and the mountains could no longer be seen. Isaiah 6:11-13, I ask, how long, Adonai? And he replied, until the cities lie in ruins with no one living in them. The houses have no people. The land is completely desolate. Yahweh will send his people far away into a large area, and the middle of the land will be abandoned.
Hang on. We skipped some.
Oh, well,
We're in 18.
Oh, sorry. Oops. Read ahead.
Redhead.
Yeah.
Like a giant.
Sorry. 16:18. There was lightning, noise, thunder, and a powerful earthquake. There's never been such a powerful earthquake since humans have been on Earth. Daniel 12:1 said the person who looked like a human continued, At the time, Michael, the great commander, will stand up on behalf of the descendants of your people. It will be a time of trouble, unlike any that has existed from the time there have been many nations until that time. But that time, your people, everyone written in the book, will be rescued. Matthew 24:21, there'll be a lot of misery at that time, a kind of misery that has not happened from the beginning of the world and beginning of the world until now, and will certainly never happen again. Revelation 4:5, lightning, noise, thunder came from the throne. 7 flaming torches were burning in front of the throne. These are the 7 spirits of Yah. Revelation 18:5, the angel took the incense burner, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it on the earth. Then there was thunder, noise, and lightning, and an earthquake. Revelation 11:19, Yah's temple in heaven was opened, and the ark of his promise was seen inside his temple. There was lightning, noise, and thunder, an earthquake, and heavy hail. Revelation 12:16, the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river, which had poured out of the serpent's mouth. Definitely a lot of shaking going on here.
Lots of shaking. All right. Revelation 16:19. The important city split into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. Elohim remembered to give Babylon the Great the cup of wine from his fierce anger. Tying that to Revelation 11:8, their dead bodies will lie on the street of the important city where their master was crucified. The spiritual names of that city are Sodom and Egypt. There you go. The important city.
Yep. I thought that was Electric City, Scranton.
What?
Yeah. Electric City. All right. Let us know if you know where that reference comes from. Revelation 16:20, every island vanished and the mountains could no longer be seen. I started reading this one, and I think I read that. Isaiah 6:11-13. I asked, how long, Adonai? And he replied, until the cities lie in ruins with no one living in them. The houses have no people. The land is completely desolate. Yahweh will send his people far away. In a large area in the middle of the land, it will be abandoned. Even if 1 out of 10 people is left in it, the land will be burned again.
Again.
Yeah. When a sacred oak or oak is cut down, a stump is left. The holy seed will be the land's stump.
That's just a funny way to say that.
Yes. Amos 8:11, the days are going to come, declares Adonai Yahweh, when I'll send famine throughout the land. It won't be an ordinary famine or drought. Instead, there'll be a famine of hearing the words of Yahweh. Ooh.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, about how we have at our fellowship group, about how we have the word now and how important it is to fill yourselves with it while it's available. So that advice out to you as well here of this episode, because you never know when it will be taken away.
Well, and it's easy to see there is a famine of the word right now in the world.
Yeah.
So people don't want to hear it. So, think about, people get so been around the axle, is what they say, Jake, about this election business. And, how many of these political leaders have we heard saying, we must repent, we must turn our hearts back to God and do his ways? I didn't hear anybody say that. And yet we put so much stock in this stuff, and, if we want to save our nation, that's what's going to be required. People got to come back to him, and this clearly says, in the end, people still reject him.
Yeah, but I think that that repentant turn back to Yah will be reflected in our leaders, right? Basically, it's the idea of you get the leaders you deserve.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Revelation.
Oh, you're on Zechariah.
Zechariah. Zechariah 14:4. On this day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, just east of Jerusalem. The Mount of Olives will be split in two, forming a very large valley from east to west. Half of the mountain will move towards the north, the other half will move towards the south. Let's see, would that be a divergent plate boundary?
I think this is. Have you heard this song? There's a song about this, I think. I don't know the lady's name, but it's something like Hopestina, Wallabina, Madalina, Hokum Pokum, Spokum was her name.
I don't know.
She had two teeth in the front of her mouth. One pointed north, the other pointed south.
Sounds like a pretty lady.
That's right.
So
you never heard that song?
No.
It goes on and on about the beauty of this woman too.
No.
So,
sounds beautiful.
yeah.
Revelation 6:14. The sky vanished like a scroll being rolled up. Every mountain and island was moved from its place. Definitely connected there. Revelation 11:7. When the witness finished their testimony, the beast which comes from the bottomless pit will fight them, conquer them, and kill them. Not sure what that connects, but
All right, Revelation 16:21. Large, heavy hailstones fell from the sky on people. The people cursed Elohim because the plague of hail was such a terrible plague. Exodus 9:20. Those members of Pharaoh's court who listened to Yahweh's warning brought their servants and cattle indoors quickly. I love how that doesn't tell you anything about what we read, but that's definitely the action that you would have to take to try to avoid that.
yeah.
Clearly in Exodus, the hail is coming. Moses warns them, and they run indoors.
Yeah.
Okay, Exodus 9:34. When Pharaoh saw that the rain, the hail, and the thunder had stopped, he sinned again. He and his officials continued to be stubborn. And then Exodus 9:24, it hailed and lightning flashed while it hailed. This was the worst storm in all the land of Egypt since it had become a nation. Isaiah 55:10, rain and snow come down from the sky. They do not go back up again. They do not go back again until they water the earth. They make it sprout and grow so that it produces seed for farmers and food for people to eat. I think this is one of those proof texts that people use to show how Yahweh is the founder of scientific truth. So this is one they'll say, well, we discovered that water evaporates, goes up into the sky, turns into clouds, and then it rains, right? The rain cycle, right? But then they'll go here and they'll say, like if people like Kirk Cameron and what's the guy's name? He's the English fellow who always runs around telling people how to uses the 10 Commandments to
Not Ray Dalio.
Ray Comfort. That's
Comfort.
it. That's it.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah. So they talk about this kind of stuff,
Not so comforting.
right? And then Ezekiel 38:22. I will punish Gog with plagues and death. I will send rainstorms, large hailstones, fire, and burning sulfur on his troops and on the many armies with him. And then Zechariah 10:1. Yahweh's people will be victorious. Oh, I see. Ask Yahweh for rain in the springtime. Yahweh makes thunderstorms. He gives everyone rain showers for the plants in the field. Zechariah 14:17. If any of the families on the earth won't go to Jerusalem to worship the Melech, Yahweh Sabaoth, then rain won't fall on them. So that Zechariah is talking about keeping the feasts in end times.
Yep.
Joel 2:23. People of Zion, be glad and find joy in Yahweh your Elohim. Yahweh has given you the teacher of righteousness. He has sent the autumn rain and the spring rain as before. Romans 2:24, as scripture says, Elohim's name is cursed among the nations because of you. Let that be a lesson to be a good witness for the person you claim to represent. 2 Peter 2:1-2, false prophets were among Elohim's people in the past, as false teachers will be among you. They will secretly bring in their own destructive teachings. They will deny the master who has bought them. They will bring themselves swift destruction. Many people will follow them in their sexual freedom and will cause others to dishonor the way of truth. Man alive, if that doesn't sound like a lot of things we're seeing now.
Yeah, especially the end about people following their sexual freedom. I heard a lot of women saying, getting so mad and been out of shape about that.
Yeah, there's interesting too. There's a guy on the YouTubes. I can't think of his name right now, but he goes out over to all these churches, and they're all like LGBTQ churches, and they're like rainbow churches, and he just talks to them, and like they always kick him out.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Yeah, so the Zechariah 14:17, that's talking about keeping Feast of Tabernacles. Oh, this is interesting too. Ask Yahweh for rain in the springtime. Yahweh makes thunderstorms. He gives everyone rain showers for the plants in the field, right? So, I'm just wondering, I'm trying to put together the idea of, well, they made Hurricane Helene out in the ocean, and then they drove it into the U.S.
Just like Pecos Bill.
That's right.
Just like, wee. Drove it right in.
They wrote, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
The Robin Williams version of Pecos Bill, which I brought him up before.
right. I prefer the Patrick Swayze version.
Patrick, you would.
I do. He danced around that twister like no one's business.
And both of them are dead? That's weird.
That is weird.
I see a
Now that you mention
connection. Maybe
Yeah.
that's the reason.
it. Yeah.
Don't do Pecos Bill.
That's it. Please don't ride tornadoes.
That's right. You heard it here first. Breaking news.
Right.
We're putting dots together right here.
That's right.
Connecting lines.
That's what I'm doing.
And putting dots. I think that's how it goes.
Exactly. So, thus, we reach the end of Revelation chapter 16. And this is about wrath and fury, and not furry, fury. So, we can go next to chapter 17 would be next after 16, and that will be in an upcoming That's Creepy
Yeah.
episode where we'll discuss Revelation chapter 16. If you haven't watched the previous episodes of this, check out the channel and go to there will be a playlist with all those on it. You could just go to the website, sabbathlounge.com,
Yeah.
and start at the beginning.
That's right. And we will embed the video with them as well. I think next week we're talking about Katy Perry. Didn't she ride the Scarlet Beast at the Olympics or something? I don't know.
I think that was a lion at the Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah. Something like that. She's
Something like
dressed
that.
in red. Something creepy.
I
Seems
don't
like there have
remember.
been several women who have kind of imitated that. I'm like, why would you think that was a good thing to imitate?
I don't know. I mean, it looks like a crown, right?
Yeah, something. I don't know. All right, Jake, you got anything else you're thinking there?
Just make sure you comment on those things that we discussed. Let us know that you're out there and that you're listening, and share this with someone that you think may find it interesting. If you found it interesting, let us know. And if you didn't, keep that to yourself.
And I have to give a nice shout out to Basil from Canary News Talk. And I was in their live the other day when they were going live, and he had this crazy analogy, and it's worth listening to. He had this this is going to turn political and completely off topic, but it's our thing. We're going to do it. And he talked about he he talked about Azazel and the whole thing about letting it go into the wilderness, and about this idea of the sacrifice thing. And so he went into detail about that. And the reason I got the shout out is I said something to him about he did a good job of explaining all that. And he was like, if anybody out there would know about Azazel and the scapegoat, it's those guys at Sabbath Lounge.
Oh,
So,
nice.
thought that was cool.
That was nice of him. He didn't have to say that, but we appreciate the
Appreciate that.
the encouragement.
And then, but what he was saying about the modern events, and it was kind of fascinating because he said before in 2016, that before the first Trump victory, there was the thing with Harambe, and Harambe was put to death,
Right.
and killed. And then for this election, do you know what it was?
Peanut and Fred.
Yes. It
Oh,
was the
man.
squirrel. And
I think that pushed it over.
And but
No one was going to show up, and then Peanut and
right.
Fred happened,
That's right.
and they were like, "We're not going to take it."
That's right. But I did think, that was kind of interesting. So anyway, if you want to hear his
That's
take on
definitely
it,
interesting.
So, it was pretty good. So anyway, that's I appreciate him mentioning this though. That was fun. So. All right. Well, just look for more stuff to come out. We plan on trying to get through Revelation before the end of the year.
All the way
Ish.
home.
Yep. And then we have some other things that we have ready to go and other interesting topics. Hopefully we'll remember them because it's been a minute since we looked at them. But anyway, so I hope that you guys are doing great and surviving the election aftermath, and hope that your tears have dried or been turned into joy, whichever one they are.
Yeah. If you have topics that you'd like us to cover, go ahead and put those in the comments too. Why not?
Yeah. Yep, we appreciate it. And well, I guess we'll catch you on another day. This is Matt
And Jake.
signing out.